Hello and welcome to the best football show. I am Brian Baldy at Baldy NFL. You can find me on all the platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. And you can find this podcast here on almost a daily basis, certainly once the season starts. On your free Odyssey app, like it, download it, subscribe it. The best football show, that's what you're watching right now. And if you look closely here, I'm wearing an Offensive Line Masterminds sweatshirt here. And this weekend in Frisco, Texas, at the Star, the Cowboys facility, is going to be the 7th annual Offensive Line Masterminds. And I've been to all 7. Lane Johnson started this thing along with Duke Manyweather. Duke trains offensive linemen down in Frisco. He trains them for the draft, and he trains them in the offseason. And he's got the who's who of offensive linemen down there training. He's got a great facility. He's really, really good at what he does. I remember when Rashawn Slater was down there. I mean, I go through the list of guys. Steve Avila, now with the Rams. I mean, almost every team. Tyler Biotish, Tyler Smith. I mean, you could go through a list of probably 50 to 100 NFL players, current NFL players that have been down there training over the years. And so we started this 7 years ago. Lane Johnson hit me up. I was at the NFL Network, still am. And, okay, Baldy, can you come down to this thing in Frisco? We're getting this thing started. We kind of just we feel like the offensive line is often neglected. We just want to talk about offensive line play and, try to grow into a think tank, grow it. So we went there 7 years ago down there, and there was probably, I don't know, maybe 40 people there showed up, something like that. And it was pretty good, first year. This is our 7th year. I believe that there could be, the room keeps growing that we're in. I could believe we could be up to 400 people this year. I just got word yesterday, the entire starting offensive line at the University of Alabama is coming. I remember when the Kansas City Chiefs center Creed Humphrey was a sophomore at Oklahoma. And he was driving down from Norman to Frisco, probably like 3.5 hours. He was driving down to come to it. He still comes to it. He back-to-back Super Bowl champions, Pro Bowl center, maybe the number one center in football right now. He'll be there. And his partner in crime, Trey Smith, the right guard for the Kansas City Chiefs, he'll be there. They sit in the front row taking notes. So anyways, we get in on Thursday night. We spend all day Friday, like literally Friday, 9 a.m. till Friday at 5 o'clock, going through video, think tanks, breakout sessions. And then we go all the way till Saturday at sometime around 2 o'clock. So Andrew Whitworth comes. We have a Hall of Fame section of players that come in and talk to the players about careers. And Willie Rofe came last year. Steve Hutchinson was there last year. We have a variety. This year, Bruce Matthews is coming. We get our Hall of Fame players coming and talking to players. We have a big thing in front of the whole room where they'll come and talk and kind of, talk about their careers and what they did and how they did it. It was interesting. It's always interesting. But I remember last year, Andrew Whitworth, who played till he was age 40. Won a Super Bowl with the Rams, left tackle, was a phenomenal player over the long haul of his career. And won the Man of the Year award in his final year with the Rams. I mean, just a really stand-up guy, very articulate, very smart, and loves the game. Was asked when he retired to join Sean Payton to be the offensive line coach at Denver. Been asked to be the offensive line coach with, Sean McVay with the Rams. It's not his thing, but he loves giving back to the game. So I asked him last year in one of these breakout sessions, I said, so, he started his career with the Cincinnati Bengals. And when he started his career, back in the day, I mean, 2 days were 2 days. You put the pads on twice a day during, training camp. You did full contact drills in the morning and the afternoon. You had full contact scrimmages with yourself, with other teams, and you practiced full contact. Well, nobody could do that anymore. It's forbidden. It's probably a smart thing for safety, all those kind of things. So I asked Whit, I go, you started off with this, intense 2-a-day program Paul Alexander was his offense line coach for the Bengals. And you finish up with the Rams, where it's like a glorified walkthrough. And I'm not denigrating. It's just kind of what it looks like to a guy like me that, grew up playing in the 80s and early 90s. So he said, it's interesting. They'd have these walkthroughs. And his thing was he never wanted to lose a walkthrough. Like I went out there, I didn't care what we were walking through. I wanted to win every single play. He goes, yeah, but it's a walk. He goes, yeah, but if Aaron Donald's on the field, it's not a walk. Somebody's coming at you pretty good. He goes, some guys go out there and they just kind of they're lackadaisical. They're just kind of going through the motions. He goes, mentally, it was a mental rep. And I thought that's a great approach. Mentally, a great approach. Like you're in your stance. You're not just standing up, the arms. You're getting yourself set. Your footwork is spot on. You're mentally seeing yourself game day out there on that island, left tackle. So that's like an example of something that was shared a year ago that I thought was really valuable. I remember last year meeting Graham Barton for the first time. He was at Duke. He was there. I went to Duke, he introduced himself. Nice kid. Here he was, first pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. But there he was. It was interesting. I'll never forget this last year. He was there, and he was going to all the different breakout sessions. And at Duke, he was a left tackle. I remember, like, Creed Humphrey and a couple other centers that were there. They had, like, their own thing for centers. And there was Graham Barton, listening to center play. Because I think he thought in the back of his mind, if and when he gets drafted, maybe he could become a center. And, okay, let's learn from, some of these guys, about that art. And so he was there. I remember Jensen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers always came. He just retired this year due to injury. But, Ryan Jensen, I remember during the pandemic or the year after the pandemic, we're down there in Frisco. And so, he's with Tom Brady, and they just won a Super Bowl. So here he is, Super Bowl champion, and there he is down at Offense Line Mastermind. So, I'm doing these interviews with these guys. So I asked Ryan, hey, can I grab you for 15 minutes? And can I pick your brain about some things? And so, anyways, we sit down and we got these cameras there and everything. So we're filming some of the stuff. So I said, so Tom Brady's your quarterback. You're having these private workouts during the pandemic and all this kind of stuff. And I go, what was that like? He goes, I never thought I could ever have a teammate or a quarterback that would be that interested in center play. He goes, he gave me literally a dissertation on playing center every day. Like it could have been where to put my towel. It could be snapping a wet ball. It could be snapping on the goal line versus the middle of the field. It could be a goal line play and where I'm going against this look. It could be calling out a front and how I called it and why I called it. And you just go, okay, that's Brady. All right. You might hear a little bit of that this year at Fox Sports as he's the lead announcer. But these are the kind of things that you could share. Like I remember last year talking to Creed Humphrey. And, I'm like, they're in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. And the Eagles are in total control of the game. They're up 10 points at halftime. And Creed comes and I go, what happened at halftime? Because you completely dominated the second half of the game. So, what was said at halftime? How'd you guys regroup? How'd you turn it around to go win that Super Bowl, down in Phoenix? He goes, we came in there. We're sitting down, offense lines all together. And Andy Reid comes over to us and he goes, your quarterback can barely walk. Remember, Pat, he had, Mahomes had a bad left ankle. And it was big question marks how healthy he was going to be for the Super Bowl. And Andy Reid, and he gets hurt right before halftime. And he's just wincing in pain. And, it's just Mahomes. And Andy Reid comes over to the offensive line. He says, I don't know how long the quarterback's going to go, but I'm going to put it on you guys. We're going to run the ball. We're giving it to Pacheco. It's up to you to open up the holes. And they ran it was either 109 or 119 yards in the second half. So they're at Offensive Line Masterminds. There's Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. And they're there talking about the halftime of the Super Bowl. Like these are the type of discussions. But, Lane Johnson's been a 3-time first-team All-Pro player. He's been a 5-time Pro Bowl player, maybe 6. He was drafted by Howie Roseman of the Eagles in 2013 with Chip Kelly. And, Lane is a really good friend of mine, personal friend. We live very close to each other in South Jersey, but we talk all the time about different things. And, he's always, how can we make this thing better, Baldy? Like, what do we do? And I go, I think, Lane, we need to get an official there, because I think officiating has become very difficult, and it's always been difficult, but I think it's becoming more difficult. There's just, the guys are just so big, and what's holding, what isn't holding, what's interference. So I said, let's get. So we got Mike Pereira, who was a long time, referee in this league, and now obviously started the whole trend of putting, referees, in the booth or in the studio. And so Mike Pereira has been the first guy to ever do it. Good friend of mine. I worked at Fox for 20 years. Got to know Mike really well over the years. Mike is coming to talk about what the umpire and the referee see. So I think that's going to be really valuable this year. And what we're seeing now is, like, I remember, we're getting coaches that are coming, offensive line coaches at the college level. We're getting high school level kids coming in. It's becoming a big deal. And I just think this is like the future. We have the tight ends camp in Nashville. We have the SAC Summit, now in Vegas. We have the offensive line masterminds down in Frisco, Texas. And Duke, by the way, is just a fantastic trainer. And these kids come, they start in college. They come, they start training. They hear about it. Word's out. This is a great place to get ready for the NFL. High school, college kids are training with NFL players. What better way to learn techniques, try new techniques. And so this is really what's going on now. And so Lane, like, his legacy keeps growing. He's got a big barn in his backyard. He's got all this equipment back there. Players from all over the league have a 24/7 access to his barn. We have great sessions there. Nate Herbig from the Steelers, Cesar Ruiz from the Saints, John Runyon now with the, we have all these guys that come back there and train all the time. We have great training sessions back there. And so, Lane, wants to, continue to grow this thing and grow it in a good way where players are benefiting, not just, for publicity or not to say I went to offense, but to really get something out of it. And so I think it's going to be, I've done the video for that for a number of years. Pull out, Lane Johnson against TJ Watt, Lane Johnson against Von Miller, pull out some of these guys. I'll watch Creed Humphrey against some of the better defensive tackles in the league. And so, I'll do a lot of the video for it. And they have their own video too. So we'll kind of mix and match a little bit. And we'll go through video sessions and we'll try to learn from the tape and what they saw, what they're doing, and, how we can improve techniques and what we could do. Like, big thing is, staying healthy and what we can do to stay on the field and how to take care of yourself and how to, learn these techniques and fundamentals in a day and age where you can't, thump every day. You can't put pads on and helmet on and go really do live contact drills. So how can you better, your fundamentals of drive blocking, pass protection? And believe me, the art of pass protecting is changing. There's a lot of different things that are taking place right now. And I'm there in the front row and I'm learning from these guys. And then I'm looking for it, in some of my breakdowns to kind of how to showcase it and how to teach it to, the generation of kids that are watching my stuff and watching the NFL and want to get there. A lot of high school coaches that follow what I do. A lot of Pop Warner coaches are following and looking for different drills. So we'll showcase a lot of that this weekend. We'll start flooding social media with it on Friday morning. You'll be able to catch a bunch of it. We'll probably do some live TikToks, maybe some live Twitter. So keep an eye at Baldy NFL for some of the stuff that we'll be listing and showcasing this weekend. But I'm really excited to see who comes down there. Just remember this now. This is July 11th through the 13th. Training camp basically starts around the late July 23rd. This is the last, you're in the final 2 weeks of your summer vacation. And once football starts, there are no days off. I mean, you got maybe a day, Tuesday or whatever you can kind of, but for most players, there's no days off until your season ends. And here they are coming to Frisco, Texas for this event. So just keep in mind, when you see some of these players pop up, that they're giving up their free time, they're giving up their summer vacations because their craft is more important than going to lay on a beach or going to some, vacation destination. This is what's important to them. The growth of the game, the growth of their toolbox that we like to say. So anyways, I look forward to talking to you. I'm actually going to Italy next week, but I might do a little mastermind thing, a little football show breakdown before I take off, just to give you kind of a recap of what we've done. So anyways, thanks for joining me today. Look forward to talking to you real soon after the 7th Offensive Line Masterminds.